Hey everybody, just wanted to do an update on my 20-gallon tank here in the basement. I recently brought home two different pieces of wood and I stuck them both in the tank. I couldn't decide which one I wanted to go with, but I ultimately went with the one that I kind of suspected all along I was going to go with, and that's the piece you see right there. So today I started putting some inhabitants in the tank. You can see the fish swimming around right there. Those are Ember Tetras. But I also put in two black racer Nerite snails. I also put in a little bit of Anubias. I've got that tied to the piece of wood right there. I'm hoping it'll grow down the length of the wood, sort of between the two branches there, and I will get some emergent growth from that Anubias, and we'll actually get to see some leaves sticking up out of the water. You can actually see one of the little fish is kind of hiding up there in the corner. But I really wanted to show you one of the Nerite snails that you can see is now tucked up under the corner of the rim there in the, by the glass. And the last I saw of the other Nerite snail, it was on this piece of wood down here on the bottom. There it is, that little sort of lump you can see right there in the center of your screen. That is actually a Nerite snail and not a piece of the woodwork. So the snail's already crawling on the wood and going to be cleaning that off. I've got that rock in there that came from, almost looks like a turtle's face looking at you from this angle. But the two rocks both came from the same location. They both came from a stream nearby. The wood itself came from Pretty Boy Reservoir, and none of it was treated. It all came home right from the stream or right from the reservoir, went straight into the tank. I didn't even rinse it off. Other than what I did there at the location. I rinsed the rocks off in the stream just to get the dirt and crud and stuff off of them. And likewise with that piece of woodwork, I kind of rinsed it off in the reservoir right there. But once I brought it home, I didn't rinse it off anymore at all. So there you go. We've gotten started on getting the tank set up. It's fully cycled in. This is going to be, or I should say it is, a deep substrate tank. It's going to take a while for the denitrifying bacteria to establish and whatnot, but we are planning on setting this tank up so that it will be denitrifying as well. We're going to keep it all small fish, lightly stocked, and I'm not going to put a lot of plants in this tank either. Again, we're going to stick right now at least just with that one piece of Anubias, and we're going to see if the tank itself doesn't deal with the nitrate. If I can keep the nitrate low without having much plants in here, then we'll know we've got a good established denitrifying cycle going in that deep substrate down there. So look forward to that. Other than that, not a lot to talk about. I did wipe the glass down before shooting the video just so we could see in the tank a little more clearly. I had a lot of brown diatom algae on the glass, and I had an awful lot of snail eggs all over the glass. I've got either a pond snail or I believe it's a bladder snail. I'm actually going to be shooting a video here in the near future. I just learned that there is a difference between pond snails and bladder snails, and what I've been calling pond snails all these years in my tanks are probably bladder snails. And so we'll be shooting a little video talking about how to tell the difference between the two of them. Functionally in the tank, as far as I'm concerned, I don't really see what the difference between having a pond snail in the tank versus having bladder snails in the tank. One probably breeds faster than the other or something like that. I don't know. But we'll talk about that in a coming video. But up until the stuff I put in here today, all I really had in the tank was that snail that I brought home from the reservoir. Actually, I think I brought the snail home from the river. The snail came home on the rocks, not the wood. The woodwork, I brought home some eggs from some water striders. I looked into them, researched them a little bit, and found out to my surprise that water striders can fly. And sure enough, in here, those little tiny nymphs that I had, those little white ones that were on the surface of the tank, were flying around. And so I got down here this morning and I took my fish net, my little dip net, and I basically used it as a surface skimmer, and I cleaned all those little bugs off the surface. I cleaned out some detritus worms that were swimming around the tank, and basically just did a gentle skimming and got the tank a little bit more cleaned up. But I was hoping putting some of those embers in there, those little tetras in there, would help clean up any excess detritus worms. And of course the Nerite snails, they clean up everything. I'm hoping the Nerite snails will actually even eat the snail eggs from the other snails, so this tank doesn't get overrun with the snails. So lastly, I will show you what I did with the other piece of woodwork that I brought home that I decided not to keep in that tank. You can see it right back there. I put it in my waterfall tank, so I think it looks really good back there. All that rich, beautiful wood color with this nice soft 2700K. I think this is actually a 3000K LED I've got shining on this tank. And it really, really makes the colors of all the fish stand out and pop. And of course, all that nice, rich softness brings out all that beautiful color and texture and all that wood in there. So I'm actually really happy with the wood in this tank as opposed to the other tank. So the other one's coming together. We've gotten started. It's official. It does have animals in it. And at some point we will be working on getting this waterfall up and running again. So rather than just being a beautiful, lovely fish tank, it's actually a functioning waterfall again. So there you go. That's all I got for a Friday night. I got to get the rest of my evening started. I think I'm going to go out and have a paddle. And speaking of which, make sure you check out my other channel, Dan's Outdoors and More. I do a lot of outdoorsy paddling, garden, flowers, bugs, all kind of interesting stuff over there if you're into the outdoors world at all. So you can check out that. Make sure you're subscribed over there. Don't forget, I do offer memberships now and all that good stuff. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you like, share, comment, so on and so forth. All that stuff really does help me out, and I appreciate it. So thanks for watching. I'll see you real soon in the next one.